Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Friday in the Rev, and we got a big show coming up today. Hey, Jeff, Gene, and James are on already. That's
They
it.
were waiting.
Good, good. Well, we got a lot. We got a lot to talk about, but let's hit with the big school news.
Got
Let's
two
hit
stories
that.
from the school department. Got two stories from the school department. First off, as was revealed yesterday, at
Hey, Colin.
the Colin Rivera School, a student had been assaulted in some way, and staff members were placed on leave. It has now been reported by the Forward Police Department that a staff member, paraprofessional, 25 years old, has been arrested, charged with assault and battery with a deadly weapon on a minor under 14.
A shod foot.
Shod foot.
I guessed that one.
Yes, you did.
That's very common charge.
Yep. So, just so you know.
And that was against a special needs student, correct?
That's right. I was going to say, this is a special needs student because the paraprofessional was also charged with assault on somebody with intellectual disabilities. So it makes for an interesting time. That's at the Carlton Riveris Elementary School. Colin, you're here. If you want to add anything, please feel free. I'll be more than happy to put it up. Yes,
there are also multiple people involved in that, correct?
Yep, there's several people involved in it. Several have been placed on administrative leave, and Tracy Curley is keeping her mouth shut. Channel 12 got a hold of Tracy Curley and got very little information from the school department. They did get information from the police department, but even that was limited. So,
well, yeah, you could see the police department limiting their information because they arrested them, but until they charged them,
we'll get to that as we move. We'll get to that as we move along.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We got a lot to say about the electricity today. Believe me. Yeah, you don't get any information, Colin. You know that better than anybody else. You can't get a straight answer from Curly, and she works for you.
That's right.
So, I mean, welcome to the Riv. You can't get. This is like North Korea. You don't get any information.
Hold on a second. George Rodriguez on YouTube said, "Grumpy old men." Well, let me tell you something, George. If you don't like it, don't watch, because I can always block you, and that would be the end of that.
So, talking about a special needs student getting assaulted
makes us grumpy old men.
Is being grumpy old men. Yeah. And especially in a school department, it has a constant
practice.
A record of cover-ups, assaults among students, which are dangerous environment for children. So listen, you don't like it, shut it off. That's all.
That's it.
We don't need you. We're here because we like to be here, and we're going to say what we got to say. So, what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about how good Coogan is? I don't know. And you want to talk about rainbows and unicorns? I don't know, but we talk about what we want to talk about. So, and that's an ongoing problem with the school department. It's only in a continuing an indication of how screwed up that system is. And ironically, it probably should be the best it's ever been because you got a clown that's mayor that was in that system for over 30 years. And then he was a school committeeman, and now he's the mayor and the ex officio chairman. So with all that, we've got a school department that's just, it's a mess. It's bad as all the other departments are. That's the worst. We've had, the head of security with a year suspension with pay. all the other lawsuits. We had videos. We ran videos a few years ago of assaults at schools, and nothing was done. Colin has been calling for investigations ad nauseum, and but this is the society we live in. I pulled up a thing today. Do you know uh, a 51-year-old man has died after he was allegedly attacked by 4 juveniles in Providence earlier this week. Four kids. Witnesses told officers several people knocked the man down to the ground, repeatedly kicked and punched him before fleeing the scene. The victim, identified as Romy Alfonso, was taken to the hospital
and died.
Yeah. They were charged 4 juveniles, ages 11 to 12.
Right.
You hear what I just said? 11 to 12. And they're already beating people to death in the streets. This is what happens when you don't enforce the law. We've had numerous assaults at Durfee. Are they going to wait till we have a Durfee student beat to death until they do something?
They're already bullied.
You know, bringing up, this is what you got, and they say, oh, you're just being grumpy. No, I'm not being grumpy. We're being. Yep, he died, Jeffrey. We got a problem over there. But hopefully now Colin's on today. Your comment, Colin. But hope he's got some help on that school committee now to bring some transparency and also some accountability.
Let's get back to this situation, okay?
Yeah.
Let's get back to the situation. Here's the first email sent out by Tracy Curley. Hello, all. This evening, Principal Whitty of Viveris Elementary School will send out a message to parents and guardians of children in one of their classrooms that, following allegations of inappropriate non-sexual behavior, relevant staff have been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. In that letter, she will also inform parents that the Florida Police Department and Department of Children and Families are involved in the investigation and that they may be contacted as part of the investigation. Please let me know if you have any questions. Respectfully, Dr. Curley. Next information from Dr. Curley. This was yesterday at 10:01 p.m. Earlier today, I was informed that a Viveris staff member under investigation in relation to this case was taken into custody by the Florida Police Department. I have no additional information at this time. And then this being sent out by school committee member Emmanuel Monis. I am writing to express concern after seeing a posting of an incident that happened at Carlton Viveris that has been posted on Facebook, and after a parent reached out. When did this incident occur? Thursday, January 15th. Was the school committee made aware of this incident in your weekly reporting? I'm sure you read the update and now see it. So I'm not sure why this question is being posted. Why wasn't this incident that involved police reported to the school committee either in your weekly or daily reporting? The article states that the Parent Square message was sent out to parents. Was a message sent to all parents? What was the message sent? When was the message sent? Is there a record of this communication being distributed through this platform to all parents? Parents are stating they did not receive any notification. Please read the communications I sent last night, as I believe it will will clear up the questions you may have. This goes on and on and on. This is from a school committee member. He's
Well,
asking the questions that everyone else is. And guess what? The incident was alleged to have occurred on Wednesday, January 14th, not on the 15th, and was first reported after school hours on Wednesday. I don't know. It gets to be very interesting.
well, what it does show is that the school department is still in a state of total chaos. There's no accountability. Listen, we all know that Superintendent Curley is not concerned about anything except having a welcoming environment and not about accountability. She routinely didn't answer questions from the council. The council should be in the loop, obviously. Uh, and therein lies the problem. I mean, the school department is a mess, and hopefully this school committee will hold them accountable for stuff like this. Listen, we understand that every little single bit of information can't be released, but the school department should be made aware of this. The parents should be made aware of this, and ultimately the public should be made aware of this to send a message to these people in the school, employees and students, that this type of behavior won't be tolerated. In Rhode Island, who seems to lead the way, we know that they had some problems in Warwick. And what did they do? They immediately called the police and had the students arrested, and they charged them. So they're sending a message that certain behavior is not going to be tolerated or condoned, not swept under the rug. And yeah, I mean, yeah, well, they always wait till Friday to release everything because they figure everybody will be interested in the Patriots this weekend and a snowstorm and everything else. So nobody's going to pay attention to it. And then they're going to go, well, okay, she sent out something. Well, I guess that's progress because before she wouldn't even mention
nothing.
Yeah, she would have done absolutely nothing. So I guess you can, if you want to be an optimist and say, well, it's progress rather than be a pessimist or a pragmatist, that's your prerogative. But yeah, this is the school department is a constant source of issues here. And it all cuts down to, I asked Colin a question now. We remember how long ago our boy Malone was around, and they complained about having no progressive discipline plan or no plan of that. They use that as an excuse, which is, has there been a plan implemented? How long ago has it Malone been in? Do we still not have a disciplinary manual? Do we have a progressive discipline policy in the school department for employees and for students? I mean, with Malone, there was talk about that was their excuse not to do anything to him. Well, we don't have a policy. Well, you don't need a policy. He works for you. He did something that's wrong. And if you don't have a policy, well, you still have, under the law, the right to punish him. He wasn't a civil service employee. He was a superintendent. So he didn't have sections 41 through 45, how they adjudicate that. But the reality is, that's always the problem, Colin. I'm glad you put that up. This is the reason it takes so long to get a progressive disciplinary problem in place, because a progressive discipline plan is supposed to be instituted unilaterally. Everybody gets the discipline stipulated in the plan. This is the reason that the fire department wouldn't do it when I brought one in from Boston. I brought the progressive discipline plan in, and they threw it in a drawer and didn't implement it because they didn't want to. Because in Boston, if you did anything, you had to go directly by the plan. Now, obviously, there are exceptions, like if somebody committed a heinous crime, you don't start with a verbal warning, a written warning, a 3-day suspension, a 5-day suspension, 6-month suspension, termination, blah, blah, blah. But every progressive discipline has a basic plan. It normally starts with, depending, and obviously it's if it's something really serious, you can start it higher up on the ladder, like with suspensions and everything else. But, this is the problem. You got a progressive discipline plan, they hate it because they want to be selective. If their friends do anything, oh, no, we don't put anything in their jacket. We don't put anything in their file. I saw that happen hundreds of times on the fire department. Turn your head. Don't do anything. For the right people. For the other people, burn them at the stake. Yeah, and that progressive disciplinary plan should be adopted and enforced without any exceptions. Obviously, the way it's implemented is dependent on the crime. If it's something serious, maybe a verbal warning, then a written warning would be skipped. You'd go to the next step of the policy. But something has to be done anytime there's an infraction of the rules. That's the way it operates. If you want something to be good. And that's what we need, Colin. We need accountability. We've needed accountability in that school department for years and years and years. And we really need it now on the Coogan because he had a stranglehold on it. You couldn't get anything through. Nobody would talk about anything, no information. Look what happened with Malone. We still don't know the specifics of Malone and how much it's cost the city on the lawsuits. The taxpayer, i.e. taxpayer. So, but that's our latest. We'll keep you updated on hopefully on Monday, and hopefully everybody is shoveled out and everything by the time the show goes on, and is safe and sound. But I guess we'll see what happens. It's good that Colin, who has been an advocate for accountability since he got on the school committee and now has some help. It's good to see. Yeah, well, therein lies the problem, Nelson. Some of the times these things never get put into their jackets. Never, ever get documented.
And we can never get the information because it's a personnel matter.
But they have to be documented, and that's the key. The key is by statute, if it's an employee, and he's a civil service employee, which most of them are, and they're working under a collective bargaining agreement, which they are, by statute, if there's any disciplinary action taken, the union has to be informed. So even if they choose not to use the union, which a lot of connected people don't because they know they're going to get away with it, but at least you'll know that they were trying to circumvent the policy. So that's something you should know, that the union has a right to that, and the school committee needs to know what the action is. And if you have a plan in place, it's about enforcement, and you guys have to be judicious about that and make sure that everybody, like I said, I saw it, and there's nothing you can do because if as a union, you can't go in there and say, well, we want them disciplined, and it's like, no, so you're going to let the guy off. Unfortunately, it's your job to try to keep him on the job. You can complain, but it's got to be applied for everyone. Everybody gets discipline. You screw up, you suffer the consequences. There are no exceptions to that rule. Yeah, well, we got a Nazi in there now, so as long as they got the right political philosophy,
they're accepted. Well, let's get on to number 2 item for the school department. 3 students at the Durfee High School, while traversing Ellsbury Street to get over to the old Bishop Conley High School, which has the early education program, so they could go to school over there, got hit by a car. According to the police report, a vehicle stopped to let the students cross the street. Another car came along, rear-ended the car that was stopped, and that car hit the people that were crossing the street. 2 are in the hospital. 1 was released to their parent. Okay? If I was the parents, I would get an attorney, big shot, and sue the school department. Okay? Sue the school department. You know what I mean? Because they were on school time going from one school building to another school building. What's wrong? Why can't the city put in a pedestrian controlled stoplight? Not that anybody would honor it, but at least they took the effort to minimize their damages. So far, they've done nothing. Nothing at all.
I'm going to tell you something. I go up that traffic pattern that our boy Coogan put up really is
Makes no sense.
Makes no sense at all.
No.
And that middle lane, it's now down to 3 lanes. That middle lane is like, but I drive up there virtually every day, once or twice a day, because I take my dog up there to walk, and a lot of people do at BCC. It's a nice place to walk your dog, and I take her up there on most good days. Tomorrow at sub-zero temperatures, she's not going any. She's going out in the backyard, but you should see some of the cars flying up Ellsbury Street. I mean, it's crazy. I got people passing me doing 60 on Ellsbury Street, and you know, I mean, there's got to be some kind of enforcement up there, and you know, there's accidents all the time, all over the city. They all drive like it's that movie Fast and Furious, but I mean, and what Boomer just posted about his issue, this is the problem. You know, the school committee can't tolerate people covering for each other. They have to be accountable for what happened. They have to be called in. There has to be, you know, the school department has to go on record as saying, listen, we're not going to condone this behavior. We're going to have a full investigation and full transparency to the school committee. And that way the parents, the students, and everybody in the system understands that everybody should have a safe place in the school department, and that anything will be investigated to the fullest extent. Yeah, and half of them are high on their phone, doing everything but driving. I know, I see it every day. And yeah, well, I mean, Rotary. Yeah, I know that was a misprint. Yeah, the Rotary is that's bizarre too. But look, it's about, and Colin, I know, you know, Colin has done a good job. He's been advocating for accountability since he got in, and I think that it's up to this new committee to hold these people, hold their feet to the fire. Oh yeah, well, the mold thing. Yeah, well, no, we don't remember. We only paid $4 million for that contract for them to take care of the ductwork. They didn't. And is anybody getting sued for mitigation costs? No. They're still being hired. Let's see if that contract gets renewed again. I got the contract right here on my desk that I show you all the time with the numbers exactly. And this is the thing. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, neither one. Yeah,
right. Neither one of them.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, but no. You know what they do, Stevie? They use the rotary. They use the rosary as they enter the rotary.
That's right.
I hope they get through without getting hit. That's it. So yeah.
You have to laugh. You have to laugh.
You know, it is a point.
Moving on.
Who
watched that line of bull out of Boston last night?
Go ahead. Go, CJ.
That line of bull. Hey, what do you think about that 25% reduction in your electric bill and 10% reduction in your gas bill?
What am I getting my walkie whistle?
Yeah.
I'm calling bullshit on that.
That's right.
We're not getting anything, everybody.
That's right. We're
Call
not
all
getting
these
anything.
Democrats and tell them they're all full of shit.
That's right.
Because what they're going to do is we're going to pay twice. We're going to pay twice.
That's right. Hey, wait, I found out even more.
Mora is going to pay them
$180 million.
$180 million to defer those payments. I didn't say eliminate those payments.
That's right.
I said defer them. So they're not only going to get that money back when they bill you between up until October of this year, after those 2 months are gone, they're going to get $180 million from Mora. How much are they going to kick back to Mora? Did you see that press conference?
Plus, not only are they going to get those discounts back from us, the ratepayer.
It's not a discount if you pay it.
That's right. That deferment back from us, the ratepayer, they're also entitled to interest.
Yeah.
The utilities can collect interest on that money.
So they're triple.
So it's like a loan.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're going to charge you interest for deferring it. They're going to get paid $180 million or whatever the hell they're getting paid for deferring it. And then you got to pay it.
That's right.
So we're getting hit 3 times.
That's right.
Something? F it. Send me the freaking bill. Just send me the bill. Maury, you're full of shit. That press conference, you're a better man than I am, CJ. You watch more of that.
I watched the whole hour, and I'll tell you now.
Yeah, I watched that for 3 seconds.
See or hear properly.
I hit myself in the head with a hammer.
Yeah.
She is such a pandering waste. I have never seen anybody pander like that. And she's talking about, oh, we're going to build how many affordable bullshit. You're going to stick the illegals in them. She's already earmarked 250,000 units for illegals. Screw the veterans sleeping on the street. Screw the average people that can't afford their rent. I mean, she's insane. All she had to talk about. Yeah, not only that, he also buys his liquor up there because there's no sales tax. We all remember Mike, right after he pushed the sales tax on the liquor, getting caught up in New Hampshire buying liquor.
That's right.
With no sales tax. Well, they're hypocrites. We know it. But I mean, think about that. I mean, this is how bad government wastes our money. Maura Healey is going to pay them not to bill us, even though they are going to bill us later on. Nobody got a deal except them.
Actually, James, what I have heard about this while we're talking about energy from Maura Healey, those new meters can be monitored from their office over the internet. And they will have the right to charge you peak and off-peak rates. Peak rates will supposedly be charged during the day, and off-peak rates will be charged at night. Don't know what time that begins, but you have the option of opting out of those meters. So I recommend you opt out. I don't want to give the utility companies any more control than they already have. So,
well, everybody does. I'll tell you, she is an absolute. I've never seen such pandering in my life. All she did was talk about illegals and LGBT and how they're going to fight ICE, getting rid of these criminals and everything else. How many more billions of dollars she's going to spend on illegals? I mean, it's a disgrace. But as far as those meters are concerned, let's just, the old saying, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. So let's look at what we got in front of us now. This is the way that company works. They said they're going to give you a break for 2 months, but they're not going to give you a break because they're going to charge you, and they're going to charge you interest, and they're going to get a kickback from the state on top, and then we're going to pay interest on that deferment,
right?
Because it got deferred. So we got screwed three different ways. So what do you think when they say they're going to charge you less on the non-peak hours? They're going to charge you 1 cent less on a peak hour and 10 cents more on the peak hour. So they're going to have a 9 cent profit. That's the way they operate.
That's how it works.
This isn't going to save you any money. These companies are not in the business of saving us money.
Well, and one of the things
that really are taking as much money from us as they can.
One of the things that really got me was when she turned around and said, "We are going to require the utility companies be paying the least amount of money for their energy." Did you know that they don't have to pay the least amount? They could pay the most amount of money. In turn, you pay that. So we're going to require that they pay the least amount. And by the way, we've got power coming in from Canada. We're buying it from Canada. Hydropower. Because I believe in utilizing all the power. Wind, solar, hydro.
You know, we have the highest utility
We got to use it all.
We have the highest utility rates in the country in this area.
That's right.
You know why? Because of all the green prohibitions of not using coal, not using oil.
That's another thing. Those green prohibitions were supposed to be put into effect this year. They've now been put off to 2028. Do you know why? It's an election year.
Yeah, of course.
And one of the things about those green prohibitions is that we have to have the mini splits put in so that our heat is generated by electric. And if you don't put them in, you will have to pay an alternative energy source fee. In other words, another tax. Yeah. So she's going to get you again.
Well,
oh yeah, we talked about that on last week's show. I broke up the electric bill.
I'm just reading this one about suicides. I don't know what Haru was talking about, the lower suicide rate. Who cares? The reality is that, like I said, I want to see data. But what's data? Maybe has he made it too easy? I don't know. We don't hear a lot, but I don't know why we're even hearing from him. He's like disappeared. Nobody ever hears anything. When had Hodson over there was a daily issue with Hodson, but this guy's like evaporated into the background. Well, listen, this whole thing, it's an election year. They're going to try to con their way into getting reelected again by trying to tell you how much good they're going to do. And when you look beneath the surface, you find out there's nothing. All these buildings they're building are going to be market rate housing. And they're going to stick illegals in most of them. And they're going to spend billions on illegals in this state. And I just saw a thing that said New York has the highest utility rates in the country, 56% more than any other state in the United States. And some of them are high already. Why? Because they put so many green restrictions on anything that it costs 10 times more to produce electricity up there because you can't use fuels that are available. And right. These are the states that you get killed in these blue states where these wacko Democrats are spending all their money on illegals. And like I said, and she's pandering to these groups. I mean, that speech, I lasted 3 seconds. I was going to grab a hammer and smash myself with a hammer because all she did was talk about, the ICE. Well, listen, look what they did with ICE. The Democrats lied their ass off about this 5-year-old child. His father was just taking him to school, and they arrested the kid. No, they were watching the kid. The guy took off. ICE was going to arrest the father. The father left the kid and ran away. They apprehended him, tried to give the kid to the mother. The mother refused to take the kid. Then they put the kid back with the father. But the lying Democrats, again, have created their own narrative. Oh, the kid, look at what their dirty ICE people are doing. Remember something. few people with a functional brain. They did exactly the same thing with George Floyd. They rioted, they burned shit down, and they lied. Over 500 riots. And who they did? Just change the name.
That's right.
It wasn't scumbag ICE, fascist ICE, murdering ICE. With George Floyd, who was it? Fascist police, murdering police. Defund the police. Now it's defund ICE. Will you Democrats get your head out of your rectums? They shit all over you every year. They don't listen to you. They didn't have a primary to put Kamala in. They told you, screw you. We're not running Biden. We'll pick who we run. We're not even going to have you. We pick them. Just like when Bernie was leading. They said, Bernie's not running. We're going to stick Hillary in. The Democrats didn't do that. I'm not making this shit up. Get on YouTube. All you Democrats, get on YouTube. Go into the search box and type in ballots or bullets. Malcolm X. You'll see a speech made in 1964 where Malcolm X called the Democratic Party out for being full of shit and doing the thing to black people in 1964 they're still doing. And you nitwits can't figure this out. Think about it. George Floyd, now they got this Good. Renee Good. She's the martyr. Now instead of police, insert ICE. The next election, they'll have another martyr. That's the way they win because they have no platform. Wake up. And there's no problem in Minnesota in the outlying area. The CJ lived in Minnesota for a while, I believe.
Yep.
He was the dean of the nursing college up there.
That's right.
That's right. And Minnesota's a nice place.
It is.
Except these places like Portland and Oregon and Seattle and Washington, where all the wackos are and all the Somalians are. There are people outside of Minneapolis that have allowed ICE to come in. Law enforcement worked with them. They got rid of the illegals and ICE left. No harm, no foul. But no, this is not about illegals. They don't give a damn about illegals. They want publicity. They want to gin up the dummies again to vote against Republicans because there's a midterm election. This is the same playbook they've been using since the 1960s. Yeah. And that's exactly, but think about it though. If all we have to do is substitute George Floyd for Good, substitute police for ICE, it's the same rhetoric they used in 2020. Yeah, of course. Well, they're not gonna say that, Steve. They'll never, and they still won't change the narrative. They still won't change the narrative, even when they're corrected. They know they're wrong. They never ever change the narrative on a mainstream media. They're still lying about shit that happened 4 or 5 years ago. You look at it and you go, that thing's been debunked for 4 years already. We've exposed that as a lie. ICE was protecting that child. God has a sense of humor. Yeah, I guess he does. Oh, yeah, that's true. Oh, God has a sense of humor. Yeah, and her partner was egging her on, told her to drive. Like I said, listen, it's all bullshit. They spin the narrative and get these wokey wackos to get all ginned up. And it's like, listen, you get stopped by the police. You don't want to get yourself in trouble. You stop. They say, let me see your driver's license. You show them your driver's license. And then you go, no, they have no minds to lose, Josh. You're giving them far too much credit. Uh, no, they don't want to do. They don't want to fix the problems. Their party lives on problems because their platform is always, we're going to give you free shit because you can't earn a living, not make jobs, not create a better economy, not defend the country, just make deals and do what they want to do. Like I said, it's not something new. It's not
But
only
the
me.
Somalis are working. They're pirates.
I'll tell you, Josh, you'll like that. Go on YouTube and look at Malcolm X. And here's a great example. Here was a guy that hated a lot of the black Muslims, hated white people, wanted to separate the country and have a black country and everything else. And was a radical, smart guy, but a radical. And then he went to Mecca. And he came back from Mecca on a pilgrimage and said, I saw blonde-haired, blue-eyed Muslims, and I realized it's got nothing to do with the color of their skin. It's got to do with the content of their character, as Martin Luther King said. And he changed his attitude. And what did they do to him? They killed him. They assassinated him. As soon as he stopped becoming a radical and realized that all this labeling and shit was bad. And one of my favorite quotes came from him. Yeah, that's what they just changed the names. That's it. It's just, who is it this year? It was George Floyd. Now it's going to be this good. And you know what? You know what my favorite quote, Josh, from Malcolm X is? When he saw the light, he said, I'm for the truth, no matter who tells it. And I'm for justice, no matter who it's for. That was one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard. I love that quote. It doesn't matter who's telling the truth. It's the truth. But the Democrats never tell the truth, and they hate the truth. And what they're doing with this 5-year-old kid is obscene. It's obscene. They're using a child to promote their political agenda. All they want is power. They even told white people, go stand in front of the bullets. We need somebody to die for us so we can get power. They're not going to die for anybody. All she had to do was stop. Stop the vehicle, get out of the car. You want to complain? Get all your liberal judges and your liberal lawyers to take it to court. You can make a fiasco for 6 months on television for it. But no, they got to get so radical, they're going to start running people down. There's something wrong with their brain. When you can justify murder because somebody has a different opinion, you belong in a mental institution, not driving a car. I mean, that's just the way it is. These people are crazy. Yeah. But it's they don't want to work. You're right, Gene. And there's 81% of them on some form of welfare up in Minnesota, the Somalis, and they're all millionaires. They're investigating Ilhan Omar. She had $42 in her checking account when she got here. Now she's worth 500 million or some shit. I don't know, some ridiculous, obscene thing. Her husband's made 50-some million in the last year. So it's like, well, I wonder, can you do that? I don't know. I mean, you got to be a real genius to do that. Are you going to invent the cure to cancer? Oh, no. Well, I wish we could. If we could raise enough money, James, we're on. I said, but we got to get the whole state. Over 70% of the state voted for that order. And the Constitution is clear. They are answerable to us at all times. So Mike Roderick tried to duck it by saying, well, one branch of government can't audit another branch. We're separate entities. And he is. There are 3 branches of that, tripartite, like the federal government. But it wasn't the people. It was the people who by ballot voted for that. We are not a branch of government. And in Section 5, it clearly states that all 3 branches of government are answerable to us. So they should be in order. And if we took it to the Supreme Court, we would win. Oh yeah, that's disgusting. Don't even. Yeah, I mean, you know how sick you got to be guilted into something like that. I mean, this is nuts. Yeah, you're right, Adeline. I mean, I mean, and what are they supporting? They're supporting people who shit on our country and its borders to come in here. They had a dump on the Constitution, came in here. Half of them are on welfare, more than half are on welfare, taking money away from us, and then you want to eliminate, and some of them are criminals. I mean, they had a video of an ICE agent telling some nutty woman that we're trying to arrest a child predator. You're blocking us. Do you realize how insane that is? They don't care. They don't care. But the Democrats are great at changing. They're great at semantics. They like to change the words. That makes it different in their that what they call a brain, that amoeba that they got running around in their skull. They make that. Now, what is a pedophile? There's no more pedophiles for Democrats. They're minor attracted adults. So this is what they do. Well, that's what they do, CJ.
I know.
What do they call illegal? Yeah, no more illegals, undocumented. But that's not good enough now because people are going. These people are murderers and they're rapists and they're pedophiles. And now they've changed it in Minnesota to neighbor. We're defending our neighbors. We don't give a shit if our neighbor's a rapist or a murderer. I mean, there's like 16 pages of people.
Whoa. Did you hear about the law they passed in Florida? If you rape a child under 12, the death penalty applies.
Well, I like Florida. Yeah, actually, that Florida is a really, really good state. They really protect the people, and it is. See if I can find that. I don't know if I can find it now. Probably not. But my son sent me a sign up there about for juveniles and stuff like that if they think they're going to get away with something like that. But he's in he's actually he's rubbing it in. He can't come home, but he's in Miami right now at chiropractic seminar. And he rubbed it in. He was like 80 down there yesterday. But he talked about how law enforcement down there doesn't take any crap.
They don't.
They don't take any crap. They'll lock you up, through the airport. And where, Steve? In Minnesota and in Ohio. Where's the second largest population of Somalis in the United States? Ohio. They're sending money back to terrorist organizations that want to overthrow and kill Americans. Al-Shabaab. They're sending money back to Somalia. And they're also taking money from our tax dollars. And these people are saying, leave our neighbors alone. They're getting killed by these people. Michigan's the number one. That's the highest population of Somalis in the country is in Michigan, and the second highest is in Ohio. And they're also bringing in drugs and suitcases of cash and everything else. It's crazy. But like I said, you can't fix stupid. And in this case, you can't fix mental illness. I mean, I don't know how anybody can reconcile the fact that, and like you said, it's just, you can't tell me everybody's that dumb. I know there's a lot of Democrats that are really stupid, but you can't tell me that you can't figure this out. This is a con for power, because you're going to tell me you can't figure out that when Obama was deporting millions of them, nobody said a word, did they? Anybody remember all this bullshit going on when Obama was the president? No. He bounced millions of them. They were applauding them. Yay, get rid of the illegals. Get rid of those people. They snuck into our country. And most of those people were not murderers and rapists. Now, once Biden got in, they dumped every jail in South America, China. We got Chinese spies. We got Chinese operatives. We've got people from all over the world that hate America, that came over the border. So now it's worse. But Obama got the people that work everyday illegals that came to work in the fields or work in a sweatshop. He bounced millions of them. Nobody said a word. You Democrats can't figure that out, right? Nobody can figure that out. That this is all a con to give them power. They don't give a damn about these lunatics that they get all cranked up to drive cars at people and chant the only good ICE agent is a dead ICE agent. Remember, that's the same thing they painted on a car with George Floyd, except the only good cop is a dead cop. Therein lies the problem, because they're all brain dead. You can't figure this out. They do the same thing over and over again. And you know what the definition of insanity is? When you repeat the same action and expect a different result. Well, they're not insane for doing that, because that insanity works for them. They still get people elected. How? I don't know. How anybody with a functional brain can elect somebody like Jasmine Crockett or the rest of these, or Jayapal, or I know how Ilhan Omar gets in. They rigged the elections, and there's 150,000 Somalians in their district. So, oh, believe me, I would love to see that. I would love to see that. And also the CPA. That segues me into the CPA. CG and I were talking about it. I was talking to someone who's said that Somerset, unlike Fall River, where we got Sean Kadeem saying, "Oh no, we don't want to get rid of the CPA. Just let Cliffy and I take care of it."
Right.
Just let Cliffy and I take care of who it goes to. No, Somerset is talking about removing the CPA. It's going to be on one of their town meetings, one upcoming town meeting, about discussing getting rid of the CPA.
That's right.
And I'm going to tell you something. Sean Kadeem can put that in, and I'm going to tell you, like I said, I'm ready this summer. I'm ready this summer to do what we did in the recall. If we'll get the 100 signatures for the council to do it, if the council doesn't remove it under the pressure, then we'll get the signatures. There's no time
Here's
limit.
my thing. I think we should shoot for the maximum amount of signatures we need to get. Okay? Present the 100 signatures to the city council. If they don't put it on the ballot, or if they refuse to act on it, then I turn around, or you turn around and say to them, well, here's the rest of the signatures. 60 days. I want a ballot question. And take it out of their hands.
No, you're right. I agree, CJ. I agree. And what James is saying, Fetterman, isn't it ironic that the guy who had the stroke and could barely talk when he got elected, when he got his functional brain back, he actually basically became a Republican? He's siding with us. And the only thing about Presley, even though she's from Massachusetts, the only thing good about her is she's got a nice looking head. Got the same barber I do.
It's always something. Well, I want you all to stay warm this weekend. The cold weather starts tonight.
Yeah, be careful tomorrow.
20 degrees and below. Make sure if you let your dog out or your pets out, you bring them back in right away. Don't let them play around outside. Okay? It's too cold. And with the snow coming, it could be 2 feet. I know dogs love to play in the snow and whatnot, but it's going to be too cold. So stay on top of that.
Yeah, my dog's not going out. She's going out on a leash. She's going to do her business, and she's coming in.
That's it. That's it.
I'm
That's
not
what you
going
need
to
to
give her
do.
the option to run away from me and run around the yard. So
That's it.
no, keep everybody stay safe. It's going to be 10 to 20 below tomorrow morning.
Right. Right. And remember, if you can help your next door neighbor, please help your next door neighbor with that snow removal, because they're going to need the help. Remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Monday because we'll still be here in the snow. Have a great weekend.